How's it going, everybody? I am Jason of Jason's Realm here, and today I am here bringing you guys our NFL Week 16 recap video. Now, this week was a very interesting week with a lot of playoff implications going down the line, so we've got a lot to break down today. But before we dive in, if you guys like the content, don't forget to smash like and smash subscribe, all that fun stuff. We will be releasing a public Discord server at 200 subscribers, and we're honing in on that mark really quick, so every little bit helps. But let's just go ahead and dive right into this. And we'll start off with Thursday Night Football between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the New York Jets. The Jags winning this one 19-3. They were able to snuff out a win, and the Jets were just dazed and confused, have no quarterback whatsoever. The Jets now on the outside looking in for the playoff picture, very unlikely to make it at this point, looking like they're going to fall out real quick. Meanwhile, you got the Jaguars, who they control their own playoff destiny. Week 17's irrelevant, and all they got to do is win Week 18 and they're in the playoffs, just like that. So they're really looking good. Meanwhile, in this game, the Cincinnati Bengals also clinched a playoff berth as a result of the Jets losing. Next, we got the Atlanta Falcons falling to the Baltimore Ravens by a score of 17-19. This game, it was Baltimore coming out strong from the gate, being able to hold a lead. The defense almost giving in at the end, but they did enough to hold on. The Ravens looking all right. Now, I'm looking forward to seeing when Lamar gets back. They're trying to keep pace with Cincinnati for the AFC North. Very unlikely to win it at this point, but I'm just looking forward to seeing what happens with this Ravens team. Like, I did a full season prediction, and I saw it as a possibility of the Ravens maybe making a Super Bowl run this year, if everything goes right, and if they don't make key mistakes, and Lamar comes back healthy. So a lot has to go right, but it's possible. But this game managed to clinch a playoff berth for the Baltimore Ravens too. And Atlanta was officially eliminated from contention of the NFC South with this game. Up next, we got the Detroit Lions falling to the Carolina Panthers, surprisingly, by a score of 37-23. And it was total Carolina domination. Detroit only came back in garbage time to make the score look close. I mean, it was just an awful game for them. And Detroit, as a result, is still on the outside looking in. This week was an incredible chance for them to try to make a push. As if we look at the playoff picture over here, Detroit is 7-8. If they would have won this game and went to 8-7, they'd be the 7th seed right now, because the Commanders also lost. So, big loss there for the Lions. They don't lose anything by it, but they don't gain anything by it. Meanwhile, the Panthers now only one game back of the NFC South, and all they got to do is win out and and they'll have a chance. I think if they win out, they clinch the playoff berth, I believe. But Tampa Bay can clinch one this week if they beat Carolina. Up next, we got the Buffalo Bills just dominating the Chicago Bears 35-13. This game was a close game until the second half. Buffalo just blew the door open, and it just was awful. Chicago is now looking like roadkill on the side of the road, deader than anything. In fact, right now, looking at the board, it appears that they hold the number 2 pick so far in the draft. So, they're not looking too good at this point. No, sir. Meanwhile, Buffalo, they clinched the AFC East title, and they keep pace with the Chiefs for the number 1 overall seed. So they'll at least have one home game, more than likely 2 or 3. We'll see. But, yeah. Meanwhile, we have the next game between the New Orleans Saints and the Cleveland Browns. The Saints taking this one 17-10. And it was a tight game throughout on both teams, as they were both fighting for their playoff lives. But New Orleans is going to avoid elimination with this game, still have a shot at the NFC South, and they're still in it. Meanwhile, Cleveland, with that loss, was eliminated as they fell off and couldn't keep pace in the freezing cold temperatures. So rather unfortunate for them, but they're still looking, I guess, maybe all right for the future. Maybe you could blame it on not having Deshaun Watson earlier in the year. I don't know. Up next, we got the Seattle Seahawks falling to the Kansas City Chiefs 24-10. And it was just a dominant game from Kansas City right from the jump. Kansas City keeping up with Buffalo now. They are in a pretty decent spot. All they need is Buffalo to lose one game and them to win out, and they clinch the number 1 seed. Not an impossible thing to ask from that team. Meanwhile, Seattle, same situation as Detroit. The loss, they don't lose anything by the loss because everybody lost in that situation, but they didn't gain anything either, as once again Washington did lose. Up next, we got the New York Giants barely falling to the Minnesota Vikings, 27-24. This game had no right to be as close as it was, but man, it was tight all the way through, with the Vikings only barely winning it on a 61-yard field goal try in the last couple seconds. The Giants showing that they just had a skid and they are going to be legit. Or the Vikings showing, hey, we're frauds for the number 2 seed. But either way, I mean, it's just insane to see that game as close as it was. And both teams now, the Giants managing to clinch a playoff berth. Or wait, no, they didn't. I forgot. They didn't. If they would have won, given all the situation of the day, they would have clinched, but they lost. Meanwhile, Minnesota still in the fight for the number 1 seed. Only a game back, too, so it's going to be interesting down the stretch. Up next, we got the Cincinnati Bengals beating the New England Patriots 22-18. Now, the Bengals did come out dominant in this game, but they let the Patriots back in towards the end. But they were able to walk away with the win and escape with it. Cincinnati keeping up in the race for the number 1 seed, only one game back of Buffalo and Kansas City. Still trying to clinch the AFC North. They can do that next week with a win and a Baltimore loss. So, big thing there for them. Meanwhile, New England remains on the outside looking in, but they are not entirely out. Once again, going back to the playoff picture, only one game back of the Dolphins. So, it's possible. It is still possible. But up next, we got the Houston Texans pulling off the upset that I called over the Tennessee Titans, 19-14. It was a close game, but Houston did manage to stay one step ahead throughout most of the game, and Tennessee is just embarrassed now. Now they are no longer in control of the AFC South. They have lost that to the Jaguars, and they're in the same situation. It's going to be a win and in Week 18. I can almost guarantee you right now, Sunday Night Football, Week 18, Tennessee versus Jacksonville. That's going to be your Sunday Night Football game, because no matter what happens, Jacksonville cannot clinch, nor can Tennessee clinch next week. No matter what happens for the AFC South. Houston fighting for just pride. They managed to pull off the win, but this game is really impactful for Tennessee. Up next, we got the Washington Commies falling to the San Francisco 49ers 37-20, and this was a close game really until it wasn't. The Niners just dominated late in the game, took a huge lead, and it was over. It was a one-score game until pretty much the very end. San Francisco is still jostling for position with Minnesota, given the fact that they are looking to be 2 games out of first place. They're probably not going to get that with only 2 games left to play. They're probably going to settle into the 2 or 3 seed. Meanwhile, Washington, given the fact that everyone else lost that had to lose, they are still the number 7 seed by half a game going into these last 2 weeks. So we're going to have some insane football these next couple weeks to watch. Up next, we got the Philadelphia Eagles falling to the Dallas Cowboys 40-34. Dallas barely escapes versus a banged up at quarterback Eagles team. Minshew's not the answer. Hurts is, but without Hurts, they struggled. Dallas is still technically alive in the NFC East, but they basically need to win out, and the Eagles need to lose out because Dallas is 2 games back. So, realistically, they're going to settle into the 5 seed. Philadelphia just couldn't seal the deal, really. I mean, they're still going to be a playoff team, but they just didn't seal it. They had a chance to, and they just couldn't. Up next, we got a great game between the Las Vegas Raiders and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, if you weren't there for the live stream, oh boy. At the end of the video, we'll have 2 videos here. YouTube will recommend you this one. I'll put this one here as that stream. You have to check it out. It was a great stream. Big shout out to everyone who came out to support. And huge thank you to anyone who was there that night and was there to watch it with us. That really means a lot to see that we had almost 1,000 of you guys watch that stream. That is just insane to think about. And thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. But anyway, this game, Vegas came out strong, but Pittsburgh said, no you don't, you're not ruining this celebration. Immaculate reception, boom, spectacular interception to seal the deal at the very end. And win it 13-10. Pittsburgh still technically a fringe playoff team. Only 1 game out at this point, tied with the Jets and Patriots. And I think there's someone else too. And the Titans, yeah. The Raiders, though, all but eliminated at this point. They need a miracle to make it. So more than likely, Vegas is done. Well, up next, we got the Green Bay Packers beating the Miami Dolphins 26-20. Miami came out strong, but they fell off in the second half. Tua throwing 3 picks in a row, and Green Bay managed to come back and win it. Green Bay still trying to stay alive. Still in a big tie. If we look back once again to the NFC playoff picture, we got 3 teams tied at 7-8 and Washington at 7-1. So it's Seattle, Green Bay, Detroit, and Washington all fighting for that last playoff spot in the NFC, the 7th seed. Meanwhile, Miami, they're free-falling, losing crucial games down the stretch, and they are now tied, or no, they're in the 7th seed by 1 game. So realistically, they're not looking in a good spot here. They can technically clinch this week, but a lot needs to happen for them to clinch this week. Up next, we got a great game. The Denver Broncos getting embarrassed by the Los Angeles Rams 51-14 on Christmas Day. This game, the Rams came out and said, this is our game, this is our day, our punter. No, man, don't even bother padding up. We'll score on every drive. You don't got to worry about doing anything. Baker was a touchdown maker. The defense got insane plays, and Russell Wilson even got roasted by Patrick Starr. If you watch the Nickelodeon broadcast, Russ throws a pick, and Patrick's like, I don't think that's what he wanted to cook. That game was just a great game on all fronts to watch. The Rams just coming out and dominating everything. Baker looking pretty good, and the Broncos have no clue where to go from here. I mean, they're playing for Seattle at this point. They're tanking for Seattle. Well, up next, and last but not least tonight, we have Sunday Night Football between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Arizona Cardinals. This is a close game throughout, but Arizona was able to open it late. But then Tom Brady exists and comes back and wins it in overtime. Because, of course he does, because we can't escape Tom Brady. Why can we not have a postseason without Tom Brady? Like, come on. Arizona, they just choked it at the end to play spoiler to the Buccaneers. And the Buccaneers now looking at a chance to clinch the NFC South next week with a win. But yeah, that's where we stand after this week. If you guys like the video, don't forget to smash like. If you're sticking around to the end, you probably enjoy our content. So don't forget to hit that red subscribe button. Well, now it's white because whatever reasons. But yeah, go ahead and click that subscribe button down below, as once we reach 200 subscribers, we will be releasing a public Discord server for y'all to come in, chat, hang out, talk football all the time with us. And you'll get advanced notification of streams, you'll get advanced notification of our power rankings, predictions, all that fun stuff. And I guess with that, we will see you guys tomorrow for power rankings. Peace out and have a good one.